Today, we will look at a case that took place in Minnesota back in 2013. 30-year-old Kyra Steger was employed as a store clerk at a clothing store located in the Mall of America. She was passionate about her job and never skipped a shift, so when, on February 23, 2013, she didn't come to work, her co-workers got worried. They tried to get in touch with Kyra, but she didn't return their calls or text messages, and the police were soon informed that she was missing. Kyra K. Steger was born on November 19, 1982 in Des Plaines, Illinois. She was the daughter of Marcy and Jay Steger, who described her as a lively, dedicated, and sweet daughter. Kyra was employed at the Mall of America and worked for 2 stores there, Wet Seal and most recently Delia's. Her co-workers were not only great friends, but Kyra considered them part of her family. Kyra possessed a unique talent for recognizing people's strengths that they themselves didn't notice. She planned and hoped for a promising future, which looked bright and serene. Sadly, all her dreams ended in an instant when Kyra mysteriously vanished. On Thursday, February 21, 2013, Kyra had a shift at work. Her co-workers said she had been feeling good and planned to go to a nice restaurant with her husband after the store closed. Kyra and Jeffrey Trevino got acquainted 3 years ago. They immediately ignited a spark between them and started a romantic relationship, which ultimately resulted in a wedding. Generally, Kyra and Jeffrey seemed to be a happy and stable married couple. There might have been occasional disagreements between them, but it was all kept within their own circle. Neither relatives, friends, nor co-workers were aware of them at the very least. 2 days later, on Saturday, February 23rd, when Kyra did not come to work, her co-workers were concerned because such behavior was not typical of her. She was punctual, strict with herself and others, never tolerated being late, and adhered to her schedule. Having failed to reach Kyra, her co-workers called Jeffrey, but he had no idea where his wife had gone. According to Jeffrey, Kyra had left the house the previous morning and had not been back since. It wasn't really worrying to him because Kyra had a tendency to occasionally disappear for a day or 2. She would stay the night at a friend's house or go to a relative's place unannounced. One thing that might have caused worry was the bad weather that day because it had been snowing heavily. Jeffrey suggested that maybe something could have happened to her on the way. Perhaps her car got stuck and her cell phone battery ran out of power. On the same day, having received no news from his wife, Jeffrey filed a missing persons report and got in touch with Kyra's family. Her family members were surprised by the mysterious disappearance of their loved one, and it was a big blow to them. Having received the missing persons report for Kyra Steger, detectives immediately got to work. As is common in such cases, the investigation started with questioning the spouse and searching the nearest surroundings. This was no exception. Detectives went to Jeffrey's residence to talk to him. Jeffrey informed detectives that on Thursday, he and Kyra were looking to have some time together. They had dinner, conversed, played bowling, and eventually left the mall. By Jeffrey's account, he and Kyra headed home straight away as Kyra intended to watch a movie. Jeffrey also told detectives that his wife left their house the next day, which was a Friday around 8:30 a.m. An event was scheduled at work, and her mandatory presence was required. She was conducting herself as usual, and he didn't see anything strange. Jeffrey found nothing out of the ordinary about Kyra disappearing from time to time, although he didn't even know where she was or who she was spending time with. They had been having relationship problems for a few months, said Jeffrey. However, he didn't see it as serious or alarming, considering it to be just minor arguments that occur in all families. The detectives started asking Jeffrey who Kyra might be staying with, asking if she might have had a lover. The man refused this suggestion, as he had personally asked Kyra about this and got a negative response. In Jeffrey's words, he really loves his wife and trusts her. The investigators passed on all the information they managed to collect about Kyra and her car to the on-duty patrols. The detectives went to the Mall of America themselves to confirm the credibility of Jeffrey's words and possibly pick up some clues. Mall of America is among the biggest shopping malls worldwide. It is situated in Bloomington and features 520 stores, theme parks, an oceanarium, movie theaters, a golf course, and much more. Therefore, it's not surprising that the mall is fitted with numerous security cameras. Knowing at what time Kira had left work on February 21st, the detectives looked into that moment. The footage showed nothing out of the ordinary. Jeffrey's account held true. He met Kira after work, and they hung out at the mall for a while, then went down to the parking lot and drove away. There were no arguments between them, and the evening appeared to have gone fine. Nothing is as bad as just waiting without any knowledge of what's going on, and with each successive day, the anxiety for Kira's life was getting progressively worse. Lacking any news from her and having grown tired of waiting, Kira's family traveled to Bloomington in an effort to try to help with the investigation. They had flyers printed with her pictures on them, posted them on poles, and distributed them to passers-by on the street. Their objective was to attract as much attention as possible to the search for Kira. They realized they could not simply stand by but had to do everything they could to find their loved one. While Kira's family was distributing leaflets, the investigators continued their inquiry. When interviewing the couple's neighbors, officers noticed a surveillance camera installed on one neighbor's house. The camera rotated sideways, and in one of its angles, it captured Kira, and Jeffrey's home was examined by investigators at 6:32 a.m. They asked the homeowner to copy the camera footage, hoping to uncover clues. Meanwhile, phone records from Kira's cell provided a new lead. According to the records, Kira had another man in her life besides Jeffrey. This man turned out to be Ryan Wendt, the manager of the same store chain where Kira was employed. They had an intense, lengthy relationship and frequently corresponded. Police discovered that Ryan was out of state, traveling in his car toward Colorado, making him relevant to the investigation. In addition to the romantic relationship, Ryan moved out of state around the same time Kira disappeared. Investigators weren't sure if this was a coincidence or something more. Ryan consented to be questioned in Colorado, stating he last contacted Kira via text while driving through South Dakota. The texts were exchanged shortly before Kira's disappearance. Upon reviewing the message's timing, detectives realized Kira had been in contact with Ryan while dining with Jeffrey, suggesting she was becoming distant from her husband. Ryan's phone records and credit card statements showed he was out of state on the night Kira disappeared, so he was dropped from the list of suspects. The last communication between Kira and Ryan was at 11:44 p.m., and after that, Kira's phone went inactive. Another investigative team reviewed footage from Kira's neighbor's surveillance camera. The camera's rapid movement made it difficult to observe much, but at 2 a.m., Kira's car was seen reversing into the yard. The footage was unclear, but the car soon drove away. Jeffrey explained that Kira had asked him to pump gas for her commute the next day, and footage from a gas station confirmed his story. However, after leaving the station, Jeffrey drove toward the highway instead of returning home. The neighbor's camera didn't record him coming back, but it might have missed it due to its constant rotation. Later, at 9:21 a.m., Kira's car drove away, but there was no footage showing who was behind the wheel. Kira was reported missing on Saturday, February 23. On February 25, police received a call about a suspicious vehicle near the shopping center where Kira worked. Security guards noticed the car had been parked there for several days. Upon investigation, police found small blood stains on the trunk, and Kira's purse inside contained divorce court forms. A rolled-up trunk mat with dark stains was also found near the car. DNA testing confirmed the blood was Kira's, leading investigators to believe she was no longer alive. This discovery devastated Kira's family and friends. Questions lingered. How did she die, and who was responsible? The detective's top priority was identifying who abandoned her vehicle. The car had driven away at 9:21 a.m., and mall cameras captured it shortly after. Although there were no cameras in the parking lot where the car was found, another camera near the mall's entrance recorded a man in a hooded sweatshirt walking toward a taxi stand. Police tracked the cab company and learned the hooded man ended his ride near Kira and Jeffrey's home, paying in cash. The same camera that partially filmed the house later recorded a hooded man entering the property. The detectives suspected this man was Jeffrey, as Kira had already gone missing. With a search warrant, law enforcement officers entered the house. Initially, it looked ordinary, but a closer inspection revealed dark red stains in the couple's bedroom. There were stains on the wall beside the bed and numerous spots on the mattress. The room had been recently rearranged and cleaned. When the forensic team sprayed luminol, the floor carpet glowed with hidden blood stains, extending from the bedroom to other parts of the house. Forensic analysis confirmed the blood belonged to Kira, further convincing investigators that she was no longer alive. Besides searching the inside of the house, police also examined Jeffrey's car. The car itself didn't have any blood in it, nor did they notice any evidence of a struggle, yet they still managed to find something of interest. A gas station receipt was found in Jeffrey's car, issued an hour and 40 minutes before Kira's car was left in the mall parking lot. Based on the receipt information, the purchase was made with Jeffrey's card. Detectives proceeded to that gas station to review the security footage. The footage captured Jeffrey filling up his car, then going inside and withdrawing cash from an ATM. This footage provided a glimpse of Jeffrey's face and showed that he had a logo on his jacket in the chest area that looked like the logo on the man from the earlier footage. On the basis of this recording and all evidence found in the house, 39-year-old Jeffrey Trevino was placed under arrest. He was brought to the station for questioning and was now the prime and only suspect. Immediately from the interrogation room, Jeffrey reached his attorney, who advised him to exercise his right to remain silent. The police had sufficient evidence to charge him, but the most compelling evidence of his guilt would be the body. No one had any doubt that Kira was dead. The police, together with Kira's family and some volunteers, spent months searching for her. In late March, as the snowdrift started to clear, volunteers discovered a strange bag by the roadside at Keller Lake, a few miles from Trevino's house, and called the police. The bag contained a bloodied pillow, a shirt, and a bra. The forensics team linked the findings to Kira, as her DNA was detected on the items. The lake was still encrusted with ice, which hampered the search, but still, divers surveyed the water body. Yet they found no remains in it. The area around the lake was searched multiple times using 4 search dogs trained to find bodies, but this too was fruitless. 2.5 months following Kira's disappearance, on May 8, 2013, the St. Paul Police Department got a disturbing call. The male caller told the operator that he had seen what appeared to be a dead body in the Mississippi River. What police officers recovered from the water did prove to be a body. There were no clothes on it, and dental records determined that it was the body of Kira Steger. She suffered severe blunt force trauma to her forehead and a fractured index finger on her left hand. Because of the degree of decomposition, the medical examiners were incapable of establishing an exact cause of death. Using the new evidence, investigators tried to reconstruct the timeline of events leading up to Kira's death and the events that followed. They speculated that when Kira and Jeffrey came home, he became aware or saw that she was texting someone else. Kira was unwilling to show the correspondence to her husband, at which point he forcefully snatched her phone away from her and broke her finger. After seeing the romantic correspondence, Jeffrey grew even more enraged and, in a fit of anger, took Kira's life. He then tried to conceal evidence of the crime. He he used her car to drive to the house, put the body in the trunk, then went to a gas station, and from there to the river where he disposed of the body. He subsequently drove back home, dumping the bag containing Kira's pillow and clothes along the way. The next morning, he went to a gas station and took out cash from an ATM because he knew that after he left Kira's car in the mall's parking lot, he would have to pay for a cab, and it would be better to do so in cash. After disposing of Kira's car, Jeffrey went home and worked the rest of the day on cleaning the house. With his trickery, Jeffrey intended to convey the impression that Kira had driven away in her car by herself that morning and that she was perfectly fine. However, thanks to surveillance cameras, his plan failed. In October 2013, a jury convicted 39-year-old Jeffrey Trevino, concurring with the defense that his acts were not premeditated and that the crime was the outcome of a heated and sudden argument following the discovery of his wife's infidelity. Prior to the sentence being announced by the judge, Kira's family members made their statements. "This monster is a calculated criminal," said Carrie Ann Steger, Kira's sister. "He deserves no mercy." Kira's mother, Marcy, stated that Trevino certainly showed her daughter no mercy. "He dumped my daughter like a piece of trash into the nation's most polluted body of water," she said. Still, her father, Jay, said, "Whatever the punishment, it will never make up for the pain Trevino has caused our family. No matter how much time you give Mr. Trevino, it's not enough." "Never enough," he said. In November 2013, Jeffrey Trevino was given a 27-and-a-half-year prison sentence. He will become eligible for parole in 2031.